On today's show,
up in Royal Oak, there may be a new plan for the site of a longtime Italian restaurant that recently closed.
A local brewing magazine is ceasing publication after controversial photo spread.
Electric buses are coming to DDOT and SMART.
Detroit bike share service MoGo is getting e-bikes.
A Pokemon-themed bar is coming to town.
I talked to you, Shianne, about your trip to the Lobster Pound up in Birmingham.
And Jer and Sven Gustafson try the newly released Stroh's Detroit Lager before it hits stores.
We've made it to Friday. I'm Jer Stays. It's August 9th, and this is your Daily Detroit.
And I'm Shianne Oserini. Let's get started right after this.
Daily Detroit is brought to you in part by Digital Summit Detroit. It'll be September 25th and 26th at Cobo Center. Keynotes include the legendary Seth Godin, plus more than 55 in-depth digital marketing, design, and strategy sessions from YouTube, Ford, Quicken Loans, Cars.com, and many more. Visit DigitalSummitDetroit.com for more information and use promo code DD50. That's DD50 to save $50 on any ticket.
Royal Oak may be getting a new Big Boy location and a Buddy's.
Now, Big Boy adding location, Shy, isn't a story I've seen in a long time.
Crain's Detroit Business reports that Pasquale's on Woodward may be demolished and then turned into a development with multiple spaces, one being a Big Boy restaurant and another being a Buddy's Pizza.
That's interesting, as there's a Buddy's right across the street there. We're talking about the Woodward area north of 13 Mile, in case you were wondering.
The multi-million-dollar project still requires city approval, and Buddy's wouldn't confirm they're in talks for the development, saying they're looking at multiple locations. I'd add here that Buddy's has been on a growth spree lately after getting a round of investment a couple years ago.
A controversial photo spread has resulted in MIBREW, the official magazine for the Michigan Brewers Guild, being terminated Friday afternoon by the organization's board of directors. Although the print publication is not online, reaction among brewers was quick on social media to condemn a photo spread that included an unclothed woman with beer pouring out of a tap on her bare stomach toward her chest and carrying buckets naked up the stairs of a brewing facility. An example of people who thought the spread was offensive was the owners of 8 Degrees Play-Doh. Tim and Bridget Bobian, in a co-signed statement on Facebook, complete with a naked photo of Tim, said, "The photo spread you ran in the issue was misguided, out of touch, and not well thought out. It offended a lot of smart, hardworking people in this industry that you are supposed to be advocating for, and it clearly does not represent an accurate portrayal of the brewing industry itself." In response, the Guild voted unanimously to terminate the magazine. They went on to say, quote, "We realize this will disappoint some, but we cannot have a publication that does not reflect the purpose and views of the board and our industry as a whole, and that it's, quote, contrary to their mission of inclusiveness," unquote. The magazine was produced by a third party for the Guild, but we are unsure as of this recording if the Guild did an editorial review before it was published.
Some pop-up experiences are highly anticipated. This one is not. A giant billboard has appeared next to I-696 and Hilton in Ferndale. The billboard is feet away from an apartment building and nestled near homes, and it's causing a lot of stir in the community.
It turns out, at least according to the Oakland County Times, that this has been an ongoing issue since 2014 between the city of Ferndale and the billboard company 5 Star Outdoor. There's been lawsuits, negotiations, and a lot of angry residents. The city says they're watching the project to make sure it complies with all laws. We'll link to the full story in our show notes.
So we drove up Hilton today, and this was the first time I've seen this billboard in person. I've seen it online all over the Ferndale forums. It was shocking to see how big this thing was, like in person.
It's totally out of scale for the neighborhood. I mean, it's in scale for a freeway billboard, but it's totally out of scale. You know, that's the thing, though, is like, isn't this so true in Metro Detroit? So many times we've put giant freeways right through residential neighborhoods and then are surprised.
Right, exactly. I mean, this thing is the size of the billboard that's right off of 9 Mile and I-75 by that Kroger. I mean, it looks completely out of place, and I can totally see why residents are up in arms about it.
If you ever wanted to mix booze in a Bulbasaur, next year you'll have your shot. A press release sent out a year ahead of time has gotten a lot of buzz around town for a Pokemon-themed bar and restaurant pop-up called, well, Pokebar. Although the exact location isn't set, there is a date, August 17th and 18th of 2020. The closest city to Detroit in the tour is Cleveland, and tickets there cost $45 for a burger and a drink.
I have so many questions, and I'm not sure I want to know the answers. $2.6 million in grants is heading to the city and suburban bus systems for 6 electric buses and the charging infrastructure to support them. As part of the grant, DDOT and SMART will partner with DTE and Proterra, who will make the buses. Proterra will also analyze the current routes to see which ones are best for the electric buses. It's expected the buses will be delivered in 2021.
The bike-sharing service MoGo that serves the city of Detroit and some inner-ring suburbs is getting 50 e-bikes. MoGo Boost e-bikes have some cool tech in them that detects the amount of electric boost each rider needs while pedaling and adjusts accordingly. With a maximum speed of 15 miles an hour, these bikes allow riders to cover more ground with the same amount of effort. What does this mean in real life? Apparently, the average e-bike share ride is 3 miles, while the regular rider goes 1.9 miles. If you want to try one, they're painted jet black and are totally interchangeable with the rest of the MoGo fleet. They also cost the same amount of money, $8 a day, with monthly passes available.
That's all you, Jer. I already don't like bikes, and now you're going to try and make them go faster? Do you want me to end up flying off the Riverwalk into the Detroit River? Because that's me.
Time to pack up, Mr. Bill.
So, Shai, I hear that you made your way up to Birmingham. How fancy to have lunch at Hazel's Lobster Pound.
I did. This week I went earlier with my sister and my stepmom, and it was really excellent.
Okay, so to give people an idea, the Lobster Pound, no, it is not like lobsters in cages like a dog pound. It is like slang for a lobster restaurant, and that restaurant is Hazel, Ravines, and downtown most of the time.
Correct. Yes. So Hazel's Lobster Pound is a menu takeover for Hazel Ravines in downtown. And it started in July as just a limited time thing. But I just got word that the owners are extending it out until September 1st.
It's that popular, huh?
It is that popular. They ended up ordering more than 5,000 pounds of lobster so far.
That's crazy. So what did you end up getting?
We tried a whole bunch of different things. We got the grilled artichoke, peel and eat shrimp, crab cake dinner that had corn on the cob and new potatoes and dinner rolls. And then we also got a few Connecticut lobster rolls with drawn butter.
So, I mean, that's a lot of food. I mean, you had a lot of people. So you got to sample a bunch of things, right?
Right.
So what is your favorite?
So my favorite was probably the peel and eat shrimp because that's always a good choice. It came with your classic cocktail sauce, but it also had a remoulade, and that was delicious.
I feel the same way about shrimp that you do bikes because I'm allergic. So enjoy.
Right. I don't want you to try this because it would kill you.
Okay.
But I also really liked the lobster roll. I got it on the classic bun, which was toasted and buttery, and all combined, it just was delicious. And I will be the first one to tell you that I have never really liked lobster, but last year we went to Maine, so I had the real deal, and I kind of like it now a little bit. So this was really good.
So how does it compare? Was it juicy? Did it work for you?
Yeah, it was juicy. It was delicate in flavor, and all combined, it just really made my mouth happy.
So I got to ask this, like, what this thing costs? What are the prices like?
I'm not going to mince words here. If you guys go to the Lobster Pound, you're going to be shucking a lot of clams. I'm just going to say it. It was pretty pricey, but I will say that it is cheaper than buying an airline ticket and going to Maine and then paying the same price.
So you're kind of paying like little airline tickets for lobsters to come here to eat.
Yeah, but I will say it was like the same price that we were paying in Maine as here. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but people might get a sticker shock.
So what do you need to know in order to do this?
So the last thing that I will say is that you do need to have a reservation in order to go to the Lobster Pound. So I highly suggest calling them over at Hazel Ravines and downtown, or just go on their website, which is hrd.kitchen.
The Stroh Brewery Company is out with a new locally brewed beer. It's called Stroh's Detroit Lager, and it made its exclusive debut locally at the Detroit City FC Friendly Tuesday night at Keyworth Stadium in Hamtramck. Rachel Keaton, the associate brand manager for the Stroh's brand, was nice enough to deliver us a sample for us to try on the air. We'll get to that in just a moment, but first, a little more about this new flavor.
Stroh's is a major name in Detroit history, dating all the way back to 1850 and Bernard Stroh, who arrived in Detroit with 4 generations of German brewing knowledge and experience under his belt. Stroh's grew to become the nation's 3rd largest brewing company at one point. It also grew into an ice cream brand that lives on today. Although the Stroh family sold the beer company in 1999, the brand returned to Detroit in 2016 when Brew Detroit partnered with the owner Pabst to resurrect the classic fire-brewed Bohemian Pilsner.
Detroit Lager is the 4th style brewed in partnership with Brew Detroit. It's got a sharp new label design using a burgundy color called oxblood and simple uppercase gold lettering. It's the same color scheme that adorns DCFC's 2019 jerseys as part of a sponsorship deal with the soccer club.
The beer uses traditional corn grits and a blend of caramel malts to balance out the hops. The ABV clocks in at 4.6%.
So, how does it taste? Let's crack it open and find out. Jer, your cup, please.
I think the beer crack might be the most common sound that goes into these Podcast Detroit microphones.
Sure has been a common sound in the studio today, I'll tell you that much.
That's for sure.
It's been a boozy afternoon, people. We're working hard to produce quality podcasts for you.
Cheers to the Daily Detroit listeners.
Skull. It's mellow.
Feels almost kind of like a type of creaminess that I can't quite.
There is a creaminess to it.
Yeah.
The caramel malts, definitely, it's got a nice, kind of an orangish sort of golden hue to it. It's nice. It's smooth, pleasant effervescentness. I like it. It's nicely balanced.
It's not as dark as my tastes usually go. I'm a stout drinker. I like darker beers, porters, things like that.
I mean, it's mellow is the overall thing. Like, it doesn't go far in the hop direction, doesn't go far in the malt direction. It's nicely balanced. I like it. And I got to say that I really love this redesigned logo. I think it's super sharp.
The bottle is very sharp. It's very clean. I like that it's something that you could easily pick out. The red label Stroh's or something like that. And I'll tell you this, I actually like this a lot more than the previous Detroit beers. There's a couple of them that I've tried that just didn't strike my fancy. This is
Stroh's beers, you mean?
Yeah, this one is definitely a cut above for sure.
We should mention also, when we're talking about the design, that Bohemian Pilsner is also due to get a redesign in British racing green and gold.
That would be a smart choice. All right, so this stuff, the Stroh's Detroit Lager, hits stores in cans and bottles starting Monday, August 12th. All right, that'll do it for today's Daily Detroit. Thanks to our Patreon members who make this possible at patreon.com/Daily Detroit. You can become one of those fine people. Also to Sven, Randy, Shianne, Bob and Dave at Podcast Detroit. Hopefully the new Podcast Detroit studio downtown is ready. They're doing a remodel. Really excited about that one.
Oh, and if you like the show, consider telling somebody. I know we can't beat Meet the Press as far as subscribers, but I kind of want to try. Eat your heart out, Chuck Todd, even though I do kind of love you. I'm Shianne Noserini.
And I'm Jer Stays. Take care of each other, and we'll see you around Detroit.
You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.